Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Hope you're all having a phenomenal Thursday. Packers back inside, away from the watchful eye of the media today, so no on-site updates from the media for us to go into, devour, talk about, overanalyze, completely blow out of proportion. But that won't stop us from doing some of that, with what we saw reported yesterday. And then, of course, some of the availabilities from the guys. Heard from Jordan Love, heard from Xavier McKinney, heard from Josh Jacobs. It was nice to have the guys back in front of the microphones talking ball. And one of the things that did stick out to me, and what's, usually pretty slow going and pretty generic as far as what is being asked and how things are being answered, was Jordan Love taking a little bit of umbrage, let's say, with a question regarding what would he say or do, or how would he respond to folks who think he took a step back in 2024 as the starter. And I know LaFleur was kind of asked about this in a roundabout way by Jason Wilde, which LaFleur pushed back on regarding a quote unquote dip in production, mostly having to do with the fact that Jordan did miss several games last year. But Jordan mentioning straight up, we won more games than we did the year before. And that's the job description, right? Is to lead them to victories. Um, I understand why the question was asked, although I thought it was pretty inartfully asked of Jordan, but I did appreciate Jordan's response, focusing, as you would expect, on team accomplishments and also, not shying away from the fact that, yeah, he was injured last year and playing through a couple of different injuries, right? That makes me so excited for 2025. And the idea that Jordan is going to come into the season without the contract disruption and kind of distraction, without hopefully some ridiculous injury that he suffers on the last play of a game in week one. And hopefully he's able to just play the game, be the leader the Packers expect him to be and that he expects himself to be. Because I'm sitting here thinking, I get the perception because of the way the passing game was very kind of disjointed last year, but that's certainly not all on Jordan. I think if you want to talk about places statistically or production wise where maybe he did take a step back, you could probably point to third downs, maybe third and fourth downs. But you also have to then throw in the drops, right? Of which there were plenty, especially on third and fourth down. Drive extenders, point production taken off the board with the possibility of an extended drive and getting into scoring position. I just think it's funny to see the outside perception comparative to what you hear from people both publicly and privately in the building. Jordan Love is their quarterback. There is not a single soul in that building who doesn't believe in him 1 billion percent. I just hope at some point, maybe this year, maybe the next year, the majority of the fan base can get there because, that question doesn't get asked without seeing stuff online and hearing from fans about trepidation about Jordan's being the starter and all of the kind of, yes, it's a minority, but it's a vocal minority of folks who don't think Jordan Love is the answer at quarterback. Still today in the year of our Lord 2025. I know it exists. It's out there. I see it all the time. That's why I am very excited for a fully armed and operational Jordan Love to hit the field in 2025 as the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. I suspect you're going to see maybe not what we saw down the stretch in 2023 because that was pretty damn spectacular. But I do think we're going to see a quarterback much more similar to that, a guy who does have everything as far as the tools in his tool belt, his arsenal, what have you, his ability to move, the ability to utilize play action to the full extent that they want to, especially now that they have Josh Jacobs in the fold, doing what he's doing in the running game, and what I suspect will probably be even more production on the ground, especially on early downs, setting Jordan Love up for a very exciting, productive season. And I know all anybody cares about is the Super Bowl. That is what Jordan Love talked about yesterday when he was meeting with the media. That is the ultimate goal, and that is all that matters in Titletown. But I really hope at the same time, as they compete and contend for a Super Bowl, that Jordan Love, throughout this kind of journey of the 2025 season is able to cement himself and erase all of the lingering doubts that you still see on the fringes of the Packers fandom. Because God, this kid's been through so much, has handled it all extremely well. I just need him to go out there this year and prove that, this is his team. He is the leader of this team for the foreseeable future. Again, there are zero doubts inside the building. I am sick of the doubts outside the building. That's just me. It's a personal bugaboo, but that's where I'm at. I'm excited to watch Jordan Love really kind of put his stamp on this in 2025. How you all doing? Good to see everybody chiming in. Benarak, how are you? Guitar Ted, good to see you, buddy. Gino Fleck, of course he's here. Ayahuasca, good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Before I get to your comments and your questions, obviously, want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Ticket King. Based in Wisconsin since 1992, Ticket King is located across the street from Lambeau Field on Oneida. They're happy to help you find just the right tickets for Packers games, from larger groups to single tickets, both home and away. They partner with local Green Bay businesses for tailgating and bus transportation to the games, so you don't have to worry about driving or parking. They're even open on game day for last-minute tickets or possible upgrades. They even have a drive-through window. And if you're not in Green Bay, no problem. Just use the Ticket King link on the Cheesehead TV homepage, in the description of this video, or on our app. Don't use Ticketmaster, StubHub, or SeatGeek. None of these national companies. Use a company based in Wisconsin since 1992. Ticket King for all your Packers ticket needs. Hope you're all doing well. Good to see you all mixing it up. Got a couple super chats right out of the gate here. Craig, how you doing, man? Thanks for the support. Do you expect to see Jacobs get more involved in the short passing game? It's interesting. It's that time of year, right, where they start talking about those types of things and the possibilities. And I think that's an idea that probably percolates throughout the offensive meetings all offseason long. We'll see what transpires once the season gets here, though. I do, think that there's a decent chance they utilize him a little bit more outside of the screen game, which is something, we saw Wilson and was very successful in the screen game, especially early on last year. It's not something that they utilized a ton of with Jacobs, but I always point back to the Seattle game. They got him involved in the passing game there early and kind of the back half of the year, really. He had some great receptions against the Dolphins and against the 49ers. That's, back half of the year, they really seemed to start to get him going in that regard. So I do hope that becomes a bit more of a regularity. Where I would love to see it, truly love to see it, is in the red zone. Because we saw last year, obviously, they get down to, on the 2 or the 1 yard line, it's time to get the battering ram out, right? And they did that a lot last year. But I do think, like around the 10, the 5 yard line, they could utilize plays that get Jacobs maybe in the flat, out in space, and let him get ahead of steam, and truck through a few fools for a touchdown. It's something they did quite a bit of in 2020. They haven't, I'm not going to say they've gotten away from it, but they haven't done as much of it as they did those early years when LaFleur got into town. I would love to see them get back to that kind of aspect of the offense in the red zone in particular. And yeah, utilizing Jacobs in any regard in the passing game would be a welcome development. But like I said, we often hear these kind of things during the offseason, but then you get into the thick of it and, games there's so few of them, they all matter. And the playbook, the game plan gets whittled down to what they're truly, really comfortable with. And sometimes all that stuff you talked about in the offseason kind of falls by the wayside. But we'll see. There's a long way to go. And Craig, to your point, yeah, I'd love to see a lot more of it. Joe, what's up, man? Jordan Love gets the footwork right. The rest will follow. Yes and no. Obviously you want always to be continuing to work on your footwork, especially as it pertains to marrying what the quarterback is doing with the wide receivers, marrying up what the footwork is to their route running, etc. But man, at the same time, there are some amazing plays that Jordan has made and probably will continue to make when things break down. He, has to avoid pressure. He's throwing from a funky arm angle, etc., where footwork goes out the window. And he has made some incredible plays in that regard. Of course, you don't want him putting the ball in harm's way. You got to avoid the interceptions. There's no doubt about it. But man, some of the most amazing shit this kid has done on the football field already has been because he's, just making plays and not really leaning into the footwork. You always want to drill it. You always want to get it down. That's the base, of course. That's the fundamentals. You're going to hammer that each and every day as a coach. But at some point, you also want to let him play because he is a big play waiting to happen, no matter how the feet look. But yes, your footwork, especially when it comes to some of the stuff that we saw as far as not maybe being married up with his receivers and balls falling short or just outside the catch radius of a wide receiver because he doesn't step into a throw. He's trusting his arm maybe a little bit too much. Certainly that's a young quarterback trait, right? And the more he drills it and the more it becomes second nature, the better off he'll be. There's that is for sure. Klaus, thanks for the super chat, man. Hope you're doing well. Xavier McKinney said he aimed for a gold jacket, and Josh Jacobs said he wanted to step up this year. Is that possible? And what does it tell us about the vibe in the locker room? Go, Pack, go. I don't know if it says much about the vibe in the locker room. I always say this, like whatever they're talking about, whatever we hear about in the public doesn't really come close to becoming a window into the locker room. Only the players know. Like even coaches, have little idea of what the vibe in the locker room is. I mean, the locker room is pretty sacrosanct for the players, right? Now, obviously, there are trainers in there every once in a while. The media gets a little kind of window every week in there, etc. But man, what's the vibe of the locker room? Only the players know. As far as what does it say in regards to McKinney wanting a gold jacket, Josh Jacobs continuing to want more, play even better, more production. You love to hear it. These are your vets, right? These are guys that were absolutely leaders and played at an incredibly high level last season. Is there a chance they can take it to another level? I think so. 100% when you're talking about Xavier McKinney. And you look at the way offenses somewhat adjusted to trying to keep the ball away from him. I think he and Halfley are probably going to be in the lab this offseason, thinking of ways to get him loose a little bit more. And I do not doubt for a moment when it comes to Josh Jacobs, the continuation of, trying to align the offensive line with their strengths that they have both at quarterback and running back. That can only help. And I think you heard him talking about wanting to get more explosives. There's no doubt last year he made a whole hell of a lot out of nothing at times. Lots of hits at the line, lots of hits behind the line of scrimmage. If they can keep him clean, especially get him to the second level without being touched, yeah, some of these 4 or 5 yard gains turn into 15, 20-yard gains. Now, a lot has to happen on the perimeter, the wide receivers blocking, etc. But yeah, that's a great goal. The idea being like last year, he got stopped way too many times when he could have been out the gate for a 20 to 40-yard gain, right? Love this idea. I love that emphasis. We'll see how it transpires throughout the year. But yes, is it possible for these guys to take their game to another level in 2025? Without question. Absolutely. Maximilian, thanks for being a Care of the G Club member. Appreciate you, man. That's what I'm excited for when it comes to QB1. More under center, play action, 12 personnel, etc. Have Jacobs in the run game, feed the passing game. Yeah, it's what we kept waiting for last year, which never really materialized. They did some of it, but because of Jordan's knee and groin, undoubtedly, they did stay away from it a bit, especially earlier in the season. I think, and then you talk about 12 personnel. Well, one of their tight ends was on the shelf for a majority of the season. Yeah, I'm really hopeful we see more of it. There's no given, right? They're always trying to evolve and do new things. So who knows where their heads are at as far as looking forward. But yes, I would love to see more of that style of offense. It's something I think in 2023, you saw Jordan really excel at. The play action game in particular, with some of the boot stuff, some of the kind of high-low. I'm in on this. I love this idea. Brandy, how are you? Thanks for the super chat. Love under center followed by play action is Love's bread and butter. Motion and pulling guards or a tight end pulling is just fun to watch. I do love when they set things up as far as making it look like a run, especially when they have guards kind of pulling and it looks like they're about to go power with Jacobs or whoever. And then, yeah, Love pulls it back, hitches up and takes fires it downfield. I love that style of offense. Now, you want to be productive in the run game. You want to make that pulling guard part of a really productive run game to sell that idea, right? But I do think they can do it. I hope we see more of it in 2025. Craig, thanks for the super chat, man. Thoughts on flag football in the 2028 Olympics? Will be fun to watch. It's going to be embarrassing if any other team wins anything over the United States. I'll tell you that. This is our game. This is our game. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes and Jamar Chase or a couple of dudes who play flag football, I guess professionally. I don't know. I don't care. We better win, or it's going to be very embarrassing, especially in our own backyard. So, as far as like NFL players, I don't think we'll see a ton of NFL guys. I think maybe there'll be a smattering, but I'd be surprised if there was a large NFL contingent. Let's put it that way. Celestial Prophet, how are you? Thanks for the super chat. How come Herbert gets an elite tag, but Love is slept on or called not as good when Love has done more in 3 years to Herb's 5 years? Seems unfair. Man, this is a perception game, right? And look, I do think Herbert's been let down by some of the stuff around him during his NFL career. But I do find it hilarious that, yes, Jordan Love is often minimized, somewhat discarded and or ignored or just flat out forgotten about when you're talking about, elite quarterbacks. Every metric that you can look at in his first 2 years as a starter suggests, now I'm just saying, I'm talking in the language of the nerds, right? Suggests that he's elite. And yet, whenever you're talking with, at least in like the parlance of, off season, it's all rankings and what are they going to do as far as the top 5 this or the top 10 that, man, Jordan Love is often, I guess, say forgotten, not included, again, dismissed, discarded. I don't know, man. But as far as like a direct comparison between him and Herbert, I think that's a fool's errand. They're in very different situations already, have had very different careers. Clearly, you can point to all the issues on the injury front with Jordan last year, etc. But I don't say that to shade Herbert at all, who I think is insanely talented. I do think he needs a little bit more help. I think you talk about just pure talent. He's got everything you need. I could say the same thing about Jordan Love. They're different players, obviously, different styles, but yeah, the thing about the offseason, and this is what it usually comes down to, right? It's just lots of comparisons and listicles and things like that. And I don't have a whole ton of time for that, but I don't want to dismiss your question or point because you're spot on as far as the perception and the narrative and anything having to do with, here are the elite guys in the league. Jordan Love, it's so funny too, because last year, you'll remember, I know you guys remember this, Jordan Love, you saw a lot of, he's not even a dark horse MVP candidate. There were folks on the national side of things straight up saying Jordan Love is going to be in the MVP conversation. And he gets hurt week 1, misses a couple games, comes back early, plays hurt through probably half the season. Then we get to this year. Obviously, there's the ending in Philadelphia, which was ugly. Now, again, there's context, right? Already down a guy, lose Elton Jenkins right away. Christian Watson didn't play in the game, so now their offense is configured differently. But that's the last thing people remember in the national consciousness. 3 interceptions, no touchdown throws. That's what they remember. And that paints his entire offseason, right? As opposed to last year when, yes, an unfortunate throw to end the season. But, man, those games against the 49ers and, of course, particularly the Cowboys, they left a very different impression through the long-ass offseason. So, long-winded way of saying, I get what you're talking about, and you're not wrong. But it is, like I said, it's a fool's errand to, like, marinate in that stuff because it doesn't do you any good, doesn't move anything forward, and we all know it's pretty kind of ridiculous if you're not including Jordan Love as one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. Right, that's an interesting point. Pretty cool that Mannion and Love have replaced legends in their respective crafts. No doubt about it. Yeah, the Sean Mannion thing is going to be interesting throughout the year. What kind of effect and or, direct line you can draw to whatever Love ends up doing, good or bad. I know he talked about Sean and then Tom Clements a little bit yesterday. But it is. It's that's a tough gig. Can't deny it. You're coming in replacing a guy in either case who did it at the highest level for a very long time, and to your point, is absolutely legendary in their said field. No doubt, it's not for the faint of heart. Let's put it that way. Doug Hype, how you doing, buddy? It will be extra quenching when I watch the Packers roll through the playoffs as I sip on a refreshing Carry the G cream ale. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It will be without question. Man, we got some Carry the G updates coming your way. I want to say in about a month or so, later this off season. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting times, guys. Eddie, thanks to the super chat, man. Top tier happy hour last night, Nags. If you haven't joined, do it. Oh, Eddie, I really appreciate that, man. It was great to talk to you. Great to talk to everybody who was on happy hour last night. And yeah, last night was a lot of fun. It was a really good time. And I got someone saying, play the song. All right. I am a DJ and I take requests.
Well, we carry the G wherever we may be, so creamy and cold, and from the land of the green and gold.
Carry the G cream ale. Get yours in Wisconsin now and during the regular football season, or something along those lines. All right, everybody, I got to get going. Sarah and I actually have tickets for a show that has a curtain at 7:00, guiding into the city. So I got to wrap it up here, but please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.